I really wanted you here for this, Chewy, because I think you're going to cringe. And we're having a bit of a competition as to why do people think Marcus Lush is on the thumbnail. And they've got this. It's to do with this story. Any thoughts, Chewy?
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay,
We'll keep going. So here's something going on in Auckland at the moment, and it's a fascinating conversation because it does happen around the country from time to time about correcting place names. There's a couple of places in Auckland. I mean, one where I was growing up in Auckland was known as Takanini, which is spelled Takanini. There is a desire to change it to Takaanini. It's Takaanini, and it is pronounced with the split in it. I believe that says somewhere else in the story that what it means with two words there is the board has also received proposals to correct the spelling of South Auckland suburb Takanini to Takaanini for both suburb and railway station. The proposal was endorsed by Mana Whenua, etc., etc. And I'm pretty sure it said it somewhere what it means. Here it is here. The board says the spelling with the double A correctly reflects that Takaanini is a compound word made up of taka and anini, together meaning giddy or whirling. Giddy, that's kind of cool. And the other one is there's an area here down by Quay Street, which is, for people who don't know Auckland, down at the viaduct, down in sort of bottom of the harbour there, that they want to call, maybe this doesn't have a name at the moment, Te Tōangaroa. Te Tōangaroa. They want to change that as well. There hasn't been too much of an uproar at the moment. It's a proposal that's going on. However, it did make me think about this subject as more conversational, yeah? And here in Dunedin, we've got some places that I think everywhere in New Zealand has errors. So I used to live in a suburb called Wakari.
Oh, yeah.
Wakari. And people call it Waikiri. Don't know how they get that from it, but it was Wakari. Now, the mountain behind Wakari is Whakaari, Whariki, or Whaariki. So you can see somewhere in translation, Wakari has been bastardized about it. However, what we think sometimes is that this is a new thing. Here's an example of a new thing. You could hear that music, eh? That was right. This is a phone call with Marcus Lush from lovely Dunedin in 2019.
Oh, I love
Would
this
you
one.
deliberately call a cheese camembert?
Hell no, I'm better than that.
But you don't. But you'd mispronounce Opaho.
No, it's not mispronounced. That's my hometown, Marcus.
No, that is. But if I told you how it was pronounced, right?
Well, it's a bit late now, dear. I'm 83 soon.
But why is it too late now?
Oh, because that's my birthplace.
But if you're deliberately continuing to mispronounce it.
No, I'm not deliberately.
Well, if I told Mary, so if I told you how it was pronounced, and then if you found out how it was pronounced, well, then you do it.
No.
But why not? Because then you would be
Because it's mine. It's my region. No, no disrespect to anybody.
But Mary, well, it is disrespect because then you are being willfully ignorant. You are.
No, like hell I am.
I like that. No disrespect. No, I'm just calling their language a pile of shit. No disrespect. No disrespect. Yeah. This plays till about 4 minutes. We got to get it all because it's not gold like great. It's really ugly and sad, especially when basically she goes, I would continue to pronounce it incorrectly because it's mine. It's like, oh, like Chewy said last night, the second place get naming rights. Is it really yours? I mean, how did that work?
Yep.
Well, but you're deliberately pronouncing it wrongly.
No, I'm not.
Well, you are.
Oh, well, thanks for that, Mark.
Literally, by the definition, you are.
And I'll keep mine.
No, but if that's not how it's pronounced, right?
I finally find this out on a Thursday night. And after all this time.
Yeah, but isn't that exciting? You can learn something new.
Oh well, I'm onto that too. I'm just certainly nothing pedantic, whatever the word is about me. But no, that's
racist. Is that the word?
I love the word Opaho. I had friends from Scott. Just loved Dunedin, and I'm all right with it. No, but I'm certainly not ignorant, and please don't call me that.
But you're deliberately mispronouncing it.
No, I'm not. No.
You are.
No,
you
I'm
are,
not.
and you've said that you've said that yourself. But that's fine. But own
I
it.
haven't said so. I've said I'm not. No, it's not ignorant. And I find that insulting for you to say that about me, because I'm not. And that's as simple as that. Okay?
She's so close, eh? It's insulting that you call me ignorant. She's so close. It's like they're always on the edge. You're right. There is something insulting going on in this conversation, and you're so close. And there's a second caller that I want to play you as well, because she starts off being all chipper and cheery, and then she does the "I guess you're from Auckland" idea, which I've experienced having moved from Auckland to Dunedin 10 years ago.
But you are deliberately mispronouncing a word.
Don't keep saying that, Marcus. Don't keep saying that.
Okay, I won't.
All right.
But that's the truth
But
of it.
you are.
From what? Anyway, 7 from 11. Nikki, Marcus, good evening. Thanks for calling.
Oh, good evening, Marcus.
Hi, Nikki.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Good. I listen to you and normally laugh away, but tonight, Marcus, you've really got me rolled up. Mary is quite correct in what she's saying. I'm a lot younger than Mary,
She's
but
not,
coming 83
She's not,
and saying Opaho, I grew up in Dunedin, and Opaho is the way that you say that. I was a Mosgiel girl. And
Now
that's true.
But listen to this.
But
call
it's
though,
not
right?
correct.
It's she's very light and very happy, and you wait till you hear the bigotry come in. It's not Oamaru. You know, you can really hear the angle change when she gets it. Now we're going somewhere with this.
the Taieri Plains is how you pronounce Taieri. And
sorry, Nikki, what are you saying?
There's no Taieri and there's no Oamaru. That's not the way, an elderly person...
It's literally got the letters in it.
should be respected in the way that she grew up in Opaho. We don't, have you got a lot of Maori in you too, Marcus, or something? Well, I mean, we don't talk like that down here. We grew up in...
Wow,
Oamaru.
you are
We
extraordinary.
Grew up in Opaho, and we grew up on the Taieri Plains.
This call almost should go to Te Papa.
Yeah, I tell you what.
To highlight someone that is just so
We
willfully...
don't speak like that down here, and
so you are deliberately misrepresenting a language.
No, I'm not. I'm
okay. Would you call that cheese that you buy camembert? Would you go to your shishi deli?
I call it camembert.
Why?
Because I'm actually educated, and I grew up in
Excuse
Oh
me,
my
Nikki.
God.
You call it camembert because that's how it's pronounced.
Yes, that's right. And Opaho is pronounced Opaho.
And
Oamaru is pronounced Oamaru, and Taieri Plains, for the whole life that I grew up there, is called the Taieri Plains. And nobody will change that.
So you want to continue pronouncing it wrongly?
No, I'm not pronouncing it wrongly, and I'm with Mary. You grew up in Auckland and you've arrived in Southland. You need to learn how to pronounce these places down here.
There you go. You get the gist from there on it. And I the reason I play that tune is I know about your skin crawl being so more kind of a, person from down this way more than me. But
Look,
a couple of things. And I've told this story before. That's changing very much. Like I grew up a wanky Aucklander and spent 40 years of my life there, or 35 years of my life there or something. And I noticed when we moved down here that it wasn't like what you're hearing, even though that was 2019. So I was talking to someone at a friend's house and they were like, oh, what did you do on the way down? And I was like, oh, we took a tiki tour on the way down and we went to Taupo and we did da-da-da-da-da. And she was like, she looked at me and she said, you're the only person who I've heard say Taupo correctly other than the person on the weather. But she said, say it correctly. She didn't say, that's not how you say it. And it happened again when I used to live up on Tairi Road, which is up by Wakari. And I ordered a taxi once and I said, Tairi Road. And the person went, where? And I said, Tairi Road. And I said, Taieri. And she said, oh, Tairi. And I'm not the person to correct people on language. And I just went, yep. And she went, oh, you're just saying it properly. So there was a bit of a vibe, like it seems to be an in-between stage of people knowing in Dunedin that there is a different way to pronounce it, but maybe they were a bit shy. They couldn't quite get their tongue around it yet, but they weren't like Mary. I do have one other thing to show you as well, Chewy, but jump in, sir.
Look, I'm South Island born and raised. I'm from Timaru, just up the road from Oamaru. Sometimes we go on a holiday to Tekapo. And I kind of get, without defending these people, I kind of get where they come from. Is that they grew up with these names. That's what they're used to saying. Where it diverges is where someone goes, well, actually, we've learned and we've listened that we're mispronouncing them. And South Island is full of them. And a lot of them, like the Tairi Plains, when you look at how the word is spelled, it's not Tairi. It's just how people have said it for 100 years.
Yeah.
And it is changing.
One of the beautiful things about the Māori language is the phonetics. Like I've never seen this word before, this word I just said, but I can look at it without having any background or knowledge in studying Māori and go, well, the first part is te awa, that's toa, then it's nga, that's na, and then it's roa. So it's Tōangaroa, or a version of that. I've probably mangled it. But that's one of the beautiful things about Māori is that it's incredibly phonetic and quite easy if you break it up to attempt to say it correctly.
And look, I've spoken to my mother, but as I've mentioned before, my mother has worked for corrections. Obviously, they put in effort to pronounce it, and when that started happening for her, when they did this push of like, let's say these names properly, she took that very personally to start with. My way of saying where I grew up isn't good enough anymore, and I was like, no, Mum, it's not personal. Imagine you get someone's name wrong at work and you're saying it again and again and again, and then eventually that person goes, actually, my name is this. Do you keep saying it wrong now that you've been corrected, or do you do the polite thing and put in an effort? And you might not get it right all the time because you're in that habit, because you've been working with them for a little while. And she goes, oh, well, that's a good point. I had a conversation with my cousin, which is, she is born and bred in Dunedin, quite a few years older than me. And we were talking about the alternative name for Dunedin, Otipoti.
Otipoti.
And she likes it, but she cannot say it. And it's just like, I'm not used to those vowel sounds and that sort of thing. That I can understand. But when people go, no, I'm not making an effort, even though you've told me that, and even you've told me, like, unarguably an actual fact. Yeah. You go, no, I'm not saying it wrong. No, it is. And there's heaps of justification. You can go, hey, look, I'm 80 years old. I've always said it this way. I'm probably not going to get it right. Fine. I can accept that. But don't come at it going, Māori's not a real language. Yeah. Don't come at it as I'm right, being disrespected wrong. Because I'm choosing to say this like aggressively. This is like that's willful ignorance.
Yeah.
And we talk about these Auckland suburbs, like this is happening all over the place because people are coming around to it. Like Otago is a corruption of Otako.
Yeah.
And look, it's not just Māori. Dunedin is prevalent for this. And Peter knows the Scots wouldn't like Dunedin's pronunciation of Corstorphine or Corstorphine. So, we just get names wrong down here. Cold brain doesn't work.
I think when you start talking about names, like people's names, it's a really easy one. So some people change their names when they get married. They go from Smith to Jones. No, my whole life I've known you as Smith. That's what you've been. I'm not going to change it. I got a friend who, World War One, his Māori family joined up and went and fought in World War One. World War One Māori didn't get paid to fight. And so he walked up and he said his name, and his surname is Ruka, R-U-K-A. And the guy went, Lucas. And he went, yep. And so he wrote down his surname was Lucas, and he wasn't identified as Māori, and he got paid. And my friend, I knew in the early 2000s. So that's basically 100 years they kept that name in the family, Lucas. And in the last 5 to 10 years, my friend has gone back to Ruka. And imagine if I went, no, sorry, mate. You're Lucas. I've known you as Lucas my whole life. You're Lucas. It's ignorance. Now, there's one other thing I wanted to share, because lovely Mary and her friend afterwards, this is an Auckland thing, or you might also think this is a modern thing. It's really not. It's really, really not. How about Otago Daily Times, 1893, page 4. I took a train trip out through the Tairi. It goes up into kind of central Otago. It's a scenic tour up to Knobs End, which everyone loves Knobs End, because you jump out and take a photo beside the thing. I'm at Knobs End. And of course, it was when I was fairly new to Dunedin, and friends came down and we went on this trip. The conductor comes across and he tells a story about Wingatui. Wingatui is a suburb out by Mosgiel where the raceway is. And the story is there was a man who lived in Wingatui, and he went out hunting one night and he saw a tui and he shot it and he missed it, but he winged it. And from evermore, the place was known as Wingatui. And my bullshit nerve went, yeah, that doesn't seem real to me. I mean, if anything, you'd call it Wingdatui. You wouldn't call it Wingatui. It just didn't make sense to me. But this is you've probably heard that story, Chewy. That's the common parlance of that thing. So straight away, whilst I'm on the train, I got on my phone and I found this article, Chewy, and you'll love it. So this is not a new story. This is 1893, 131 years ago. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I love this letter because it uses words like spake in it. It's fantastic.
Okay, cool.
Sir, I am reminded by a friend that I have not fulfilled my promise to sum up the evidence for and against Wingatui. By your leave, I will now proceed to do so. I love this so much. It's so cool. He goes through and he talks about how he thought it was a whangatua at one stage. This is what this guy thought. Mm-hmm. And he goes through and he tells the story and he talks about Waihola, a corruption of Waihora. So there's another mistake out now here in Dunedin. Goes through.
No L into there.
Yep. Went through and he talks about the legend of the story of Wingatui, and he gets to the end of it and he says this. Let me see if I can find it. I'll just read it to you. I'll just read from here. A letter from a gentleman well versed in the Māori tongue, which sets forth the old name thus. A native from Henley tells me that the place where formerly a forest grew was known to old Māoris as Wahingatui, a dividing or separating of tui birds. This might well be after the birds had been snared. So what's more likely? Some dude winged a tui or someone bastardized Wahingatui? So I love that story. For one reason. I hate it for one reason, because it stayed like that for 130 years. But I love it because, people will think about, you fucking millennials, you fucking Gen Zs and their woke tards and all, they fucking change up. No, this conversation's been going on for over 130 years down here. And I'll tell you what, get a Scottish place name wrong in Dunedin, and there's hell to pay on the front page of the ODT. But the thing I wanted to show is that this conversation about place names being changed is not new, is not woke, is nothing like that. It's been going on since the country began, and some people have been wanting to get the names correct. If I had a record of me somewhere in my old boys network for school and they'd misspelt my name and I've been out of school for 30 years, I'd be like, it's been wrong for 30 years. Could we just change the spelling on it now just to get it right? Because it'd be nice. It'd be nice to get it right. It'd be nice to get it right. And I love that story about Wahingatui, and I've used it a lot since I found that out. But the bullshit nerve worked.
That's a great piece. I love it. Look, one of the things that I love about getting these names right, and I've mentioned it a couple that mean a lot to me, like have always said Tekapo, and finding out that it's actually closer to Takapo. And just, again, you get that knowledge and you try a little bit harder. And it's not a zero-sum game. It doesn't matter if you try and don't quite get it right. It doesn't matter if you forget sometimes. The attempt is important. It shows respect. but to actually get these names right, and quite often there's a story behind them that I really appreciate. This came about through the names of the Auckland suburbs and that sort of thing. But there's actually been a couple in the news, both from here in Otago and elsewhere in the country. So we've got this one. Kind of made me a little bit mad because it is exactly what we're talking about here. Central Otago Council rejects Maniatoto name change. Central Otago Mayor Tim Cadogan has stood against his council as the lone voice supporting a Māori name correction in the district. So this is exactly what they're talking about. They acknowledge that the name is wrong, and that it means nothing in its current form. They acknowledge that the proper name translates to the Red Plains, referring to the area's native tussock spread across the plain, which is great. That tells a story about where you are. And the current name has no meaning in Te Reo Māori. So they acknowledge the error, but do not support a change.
Okay, boomers.
And that's exactly what it is. They are afraid of the kickback because there will be kickback. But at this point, it's just like, just acknowledge the change the signs when they need to be changed. It doesn't need to be this whole thing where everybody's immediately wrong. And then, in a very similar vein, consultation opens on a plan to change Petone spelling to Oni.
Yeah.
And this is kicking up the same sort of thing, exactly the same thing that we had on that call for Marcus Lush. I haven't been saying it wrong. You're saying I'm a dumbass or a racist or that sort of thing. No, we're just pointing out that we've got it wrong. Yeah. It means something if we do it this way. It's a garbage nothing word. We do it the other way.
Yeah.
But it kicks up, like, people are very sensitive about it. It's almost like this inferiority complex comes through. But I think when you change it to it is a respect thing. This had a name when Europeans arrived. We've got the name wrong. It's like you don't entrench an era, in my view.
Yeah.
But things will change.
Very good.
Things will change. People get better at this. But I think every time it comes up, it educates some people, it pisses off a lot of other people, and some really ugly racism comes to the front. And if it comes to the front, it can be confronted, and it can make people reevaluate their stance.